All right, welcome to the show. We are a week,
8 days?
8 days, 8 days
8.
away. So exciting for the football season, the fantasy football season, dynasty season, everything. So yeah, we're getting close. Tonight we're gonna talk some. We'll talk some recent news and how that pertains to your redraft league and dynasty. We'll talk about it both ways. Critique, appreciate you already in the building. Would you trade Achan for Hampton straight up in Dynasty, even if a contender RB room is Saquon, Achan, and CMC? It's a 12-team superflex. It is start 8
That's
in the
interesting. I
style.
mean, I would see if I'm the HN owner, if I could squeeze a little bit more. Just because we know Hampton's going to get the work, but there is still the Najee Harris lingering in that backfield. Um, so I would see if I could squeeze maybe a second out of that as well. I wouldn't just go straight up out the box. See if you could get a little bit more and try and negotiate and, capitalize on a chance ADP at this point. It's not a lot higher than Hampton's, but I think you might be able to at least start off with asking for Hampton and a piece, even if it's a third, get an additional asset.
Yeah, it sounds like you are the Achan owner, so you're
He
saying
is,
for
yeah.
Hampton. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. Like Hammer said, I don't know if I want to do it straight up, even though I do like Hampton better, and you can say he is possibly less of a risk, injury wise, of course. And plus, you already do have Saquon and CMC. So I wouldn't mind going Hampton, but can you get a plus on top? Obviously, if you're asking straight up, like that manager wants to do it straight up, meaning that he wants Achan more,
It's available. It's
right?
available to
So
have. Yeah.
because he wants him more, you need to get something else out of it, whether that is a running back, another running back, something small, a wide receiver, or a pick, like Hammer said. Can you get a second out of it? Can you get a third out of it? I would shoot for a second, honestly, even if you got to throw in like a small piece. Like, I want a little something on top. Like for in Dynasty, I have Achan and Hampton like straight up, like they are back to back. For me, so I am a Hampton fan, not so much Achan, but yeah, if you want to do that, like I'm okay. I'm okay with doing that, but also understand, right, in your format, right, it is a start 8, it is shallow, right? Is Hampton going to see that type of work right away where he can really make a difference in a start 8 format? That's really what you have to question is, do you want the upside, take the chance on the upside with Achan, or are you okay with, you know, moving to Hampton? Because it is a start 8, the second really doesn't mean as much, unless your league really values the draft picks.
And also keep in mind, Achan is still banged up with the calf. And for a
Yes.
speedy
That
guy
is,
and a
yep.
guy that relies on the big play, this is a big risk. If you're not practicing a week out from the season, that's a little bit of a, I'm not going to say red flag. It's more of a yellow flag at this point, but especially for a guy like Achan who relies on speed and explosive plays to get you those fantasy points, that is a bit of a concern for me. So I understand from your perspective why you want to go for Hampton, who, as you said, Steve, might not give you the same upside as Achan on a week to week basis, but maybe he's going to give you all 16, all 17 games. Achan may give you 13, 14 games, right? Depending on how this calf injury shakes out. So I can understand why you would want to go that route, especially in the dynasty. If this is a dynasty. So I'm open to it, but just see if you could maximize it, maximize Achan's value. I wouldn't go straight up out the box.
And use that to your advantage, at least for the argument for the Hampton side, where like Najee is there, like I'm not going to get the upside that Achan has, and Achan is okay. He's a top 3 running back. Like you can use that towards your argument to get more than just Hampton, if you can, especially given the circumstance of the format, like it is,
Mm-hmm.
pretty
You
shallow.
need the heavy
So
hitter. You need the
you
heavy
need
hitters, and
right,
Achan
right,
is
right.
one.
Right. Exactly. I wonder what your wide receivers look like in your quarterback room.
I mean, that running back room is so good, but
Yeah.
also that running back room is so good from a receiving perspective as well. So even if your wide receiver room isn't as good, you're still getting the reception work from your running backs, which I do like.
Right. I mean, so you've got one in the flex, like 2 running backs on the flex, you're starting right there. Kev, what up, Kev? By Rashee, yes. I mean, already in 2 of my leagues, owners have put out messages in the league chat already. And this is this one guy said needing a wide receiver after Rice just got his suspension. So I'm
Bench.
already, in there trying to think of different trades I can try and come up with to try and buy, Rashee Rice. So yes, now is the time that the news broke. There are people that are going to panic a little bit. There are people that are not going to panic a little bit, right? It all just depends on your league and those GMs. So yeah, I mean, I'm actively am trying to buy Rashee Rice. I mean, I have been because people have been scared that he might get suspended and it could be in the middle. But now that it is 6 games, it is the first half of the season, of the fantasy season at least.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, of the
yeah,
fantasy
roughly
season at least. So those are
40%.
that's big that you're missing him there. Like, can that, depending on where you draft him, does that affect yourself and making the playoffs? Because you need that production. So I think I have him in one of my do I have him in one of my redrafts maybe?
I have him
And
in
I have him, I think,
Dynasty.
in 2 dynasties, and I've been trying to buy him in other dynasties. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kinda how I'm feeling about Rashee. I'm in the buying mood. Redraft, if you still have drafts left, again, it's a 6-game suspension, but that is that league-winning wide receiver, that ticket to the playoffs, to possibly the fantasy championship. If you can get him in, if you can have a good enough record to get into, game 7 of your fantasy season still in decent shape, looking like you can make the playoffs, then he can be a huge asset to have.
What's real interesting about the Rashee Rice thing was the NFL was going for 10 games initially, if you read the reports. So, and we were talking about this, I think last week or maybe even the week before, where his hearing wasn't scheduled until September 30th. So he was going much higher in these redrafts and these dynasty drafts that have already happened because we're like, all right, cool. We're going to have him for the first 4 weeks. Maybe it gets pushed back, pushed back, pushed back. He might even play the whole season, we were thinking potentially, and then they'll deal with it in the off season or going into 2027. So really interesting that he accepts the 6 games and just gets it out of the way early. Now, do you think it's beneficial for him to take this 6 games early, or do you think it would have been more beneficial to wait for the September 30th hearing and then figure it out from there?
Oh, I think both in real life for the Chiefs and for him, and also fantasy wise, it's
Get
better
it
that
out the
it's
way.
coming now. It's not coming in the middle of the season when you're in
Playoff
the,
push.
the playoff push and that stretch, and you don't have them from weeks,
Yep.
5 to 11 or whatever it is if it happens in
Hmm.
the middle of the season. And also just for him and for the Chiefs, like they don't have to worry about things going great the first 4 weeks. He's the main dude, and then all of a sudden now they're
Disrupting
missing him
that.
for
Yeah.
6 games, and then he's got to come back into the fold. So, being that he's missing it now, does Xavier Worthy now, become a big target at least for the first half of the season, until Rashee Rice comes back? Does he take over that role of that kind of over the middle, possession guy? So, yeah.
Are you feeling any of the other Kansas City pass catchers? Are you feeling any Hollywood Brown? Are you feeling any your boy Jalen
I like Jalen
Royals, by the
Royals.
way?
Hmm.
Obviously you think Travis Kelsey could get a bit of a bump as well. I mean, he is in his age 35, 36 season, but who do you think is the best beneficiary for the first 6 games from this
Oh,
suspension?
Worthy for sure. Worthy for sure. Worthy for sure.
Okay.
Because we saw that last season when
Yeah.
Rashee was out,
Yeah.
right? He got an uptick. So, I think Rashee Rice still is going to own that slot kind of role, and it's going to suck for Worthy when Rashee comes back because I think he becomes more of that, you know,
Gadget.
almost gadget like, but long, deep ball, but like a JMO type where he can still be a
Hmm.
solid, wide receiver 2 for fantasy. Like, So I do still like him, but I don't think he has like that wide receiver one type upside that Rashee has. And
Yeah.
I think he just kind of owns that role in the offense. But yeah, I mean, for sure, we're trying to buy Rashid right now. I mean, what are we paying? I mean, I have him in my top 12 or at least 15 dynasty wide receivers. So I mean, that's costing at least a first plus. Now is the time to buy him where the price is down a little bit, like people can become scared.
Second
And
plus.
again, in some leagues, maybe they're not. Maybe they're thinking like us, but you've got to at least try for Rashee Rice. Can you give up a player and a second round pick or a first round pick, depending on who you want to give up, right? Can you go from a Devonta Smith to a Rashee Rice, with a second if somebody wants that production or believes in Devonta and all those guys in that range, right? There's a ton of guys in that range of wide receivers. So is now a chance where you can tear up or tear down. I mean, especially if you're not a contender, right? Can you buy Rashee Rice easier, especially if you want to pick up assets? Do you need to trade one of your big guns of, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, whatever it is? Can you get a first on top of it or a first plus for people that need that or want that production right now? And meanwhile, you're gaining assets and starting your rebuild or retool, whatever it is that you need to do.
It's always so interesting, the dynamic, right? Because you can take a suspension like this and use both sides of the coin to accomplish whatever you need to accomplish. It's all about seeing what your leverage is, seeing who needs what across the league, right? Because for most people, Rashee Rice is their wide receiver 2, some guys wide receiver 1, depending on what your situation looks like. So that is a huge chunk of production that a lot of people are going to be missing. And if you can capitalize on it, why the hell not, right? We're in a dog eat dog business here with this fantasy stuff, especially in dynasty leagues. So I ended up, interestingly enough, I ended up trading Mike Evans last season on a dynasty team that I knew was out of it. And I ended up picking up Rashee Rice and I think a running back on top of it, something like that. So I was really happy with that because I gave up the older Mike Evans, got Rashee Rice, not knowing that he was going to get these 6 games. Now I'm going to have Rashee Rice for the foreseeable future, but that's how I ended up getting Rashee Rice last season. I do have Hollywood Brown. I did want to ask you really quick
Yeah,
your
we'll talk about
thoughts
it. Mhm.
on the impact this would have on a guy like Hollywood Brown, because I still think he's a pretty solid receiver. The problem is that they have a really crowded room there. And ever since Tyreek Hill left, we talked about this as well, where Patrick Mahomes is an equal opportunity employer these days. He's not keying in on one particular guy. So what do you think the prospects are for Hollywood Brown? Now, he is dealing with a ankle injury as we currently speak, but it looks like he's going to be able to play week 1.
Yeah, I mean, Albert, what's up, Albert? Appreciate you. Derek, what up, Derek?
Derek
It's
in the
been a
house, my
while.
man. Yes,
What's
sir.
good? Um, I mean, Hollywood Brown's scary. Like on one end, it's like, all right, they don't have, or they do have plenty of guys that can, catch the football, right? But I mean, Hollywood Brown is good. I thought he was always a little bit underrated, never really had a quarterback, but now he can't stay healthy.
Yep.
You have Xavier Worthy that's going to be taking over pretty much that Rashee Rice role, at least I believe, until at least Rashee comes back, or at least a portion of it. I mean, they might still, try and take him deep and all that, but for the most part, I think he kind of takes that. And then it's like, where does that leave Hollywood Brown? I think he's going to have up and down games. I don't think he's going to be consistent, right? He might have a big game or so and then not. So
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Um, I mean, where he's being drafted is like extremely low, so he's absolutely fine taking a chance on. Is that does Xavier Worthy get injured? Like they got to throw the ball to somebody. And there's not much. I don't say there's not much, but there's not much like that is established there. Other than it was Rashee Rice and Kelsey, really. So
Yeah, it's so interesting because the options I have to replace Rashee Rice right now are guys like Hollywood Brown, Josh Palmer. I have QJ. I do have Jalen Royals on my taxi squad. I don't think I'm gonna pull him off just yet. I kind of want to see what his
QJ is
involvement
interesting. QJ is
in the offense.
very interesting, and I said I don't know how long ago it was. It was a few weeks ago. I know we were on here with Flo Joe. I don't know if you were on actually. It might have been just me and him. And I said, you know, that QJ may just have a better season than Trey Harris this year. I mean, the guy had what do you have 8 touchdowns last year? I mean, he wasn't bad.
He did.
He
He
wasn't
did.
great, but he wasn't bad. And now he knows the offense a little bit more. I think he's still going to have some good playing time. He doesn't have to play the XY receiver role, right? Because they've kind of got Trey Harris that can do that. Um, he doesn't have to play the slot role, so he can be a little flankerish, or he could go into the slot. You can move McConkey kind of back and forth, but you can do a couple things with him now, or use him properly, right? He was never
There's not
used
as much
properly
pressure
was the main
on
thing.
him.
And of course,
Yeah.
obviously he's got butterfingers, but he's got
He's still 23 years
but
old, man.
but
Like that.
he's still a young guy, and we knew that he had to be developed. He was a very raw, kind of prospect, and he's great at yards after the catch, like get the ball in his hands. And I think they are trying to do that a little bit more now. So I do like QJ as like a underrated sleeper that
So
basically is free and costs absolutely nothing. So
so to your point, I mean, his first year, obviously, I think everybody got super excited because we saw Justin Herbert. We know Justin Herbert could throw for 5,000, all the touchdowns, etc. We thought it was going to be a prolific offense. And he goes out there and he has 38 catches for 430 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not overly impressive. But he actually, if you look at it from a second year jump, he went to 55 catches on 91 targets for 700 yards and the 8 big touchdowns that you talked about. So if next year he bumps up to 65, 68 catches on 105 targets and he gets between 8 and 10 touchdowns. And remember, he only played 15 games last season. So if he manages to stay healthy, plays another 15, 16, maybe 17, there is some value to be had there. And he's not getting drafted overly very high. That we know that for sure. So the value could be there, like you said, where he could be kind of a touchdown producer for you in that flex spot.
I mean, KLS, right? Lambert Smith. I mean, he's been solid all preseason. Like they've got some guys there now. So it'll be interesting to see. But as a just kind of a deep sleeper, I don't mind QJ. Caddy, what up, Caddy? Finally drafted in a 10 man. Okay, you're getting there. You got to get to
We were
12,
we were
but
talking about this last week
we're
with
getting
Caddy.
there,
He
Caddy.
finally got out of the 8 man.
Mahomes, Henry, Bucky, Higgins, JJ McBride, Flex, Pearsall, Bench, Harvey, JCM, Bill, Bigsby, Odunze, Warren, and May. Okay, so we've got Mahomes, we've got May. The only thing I hate really is that I don't expect May to be far off from Mahomes unless Mahomes has some fucking astronomical season. So I feel like that's like a wasted pick in that middle round, that middle round area where you need to take him compared to May, who you can get so much later.
We
But
talked about it in a 1 quarterback league really quick where we were doing some mock drafts. And if you're taking Mahomes in the 5th round, why don't you just wait and get Dak Prescott in the 10th or 11th
right,
or
right,
whatever the case may be?
because you could have taken a shot on another RB or wide receiver, in that range. I mean, you've got Harvey on the bench. Bill got Bigsby. I love Odunze. I think Odunze is very, very underrated this year, and I love where he's going in draft. I think he's a crazy value that can possibly be the wide receiver 1 for the Chicago Bears. I mean, we know how good of a prospect that he was, and when he was on the field last year, he got targeted. So, I think him and Caleb, can really connect this season. So I like that. Pearsall in the flex is nice, but what does happen like when Ayuk comes back, like in a 10-man league, like you need some hitters, and is Pearsall gonna give you that type of production? I mean, even Ayuk at his best, at least on the Niners, wasn't a wide receiver 1, right? He was a very high end wide receiver 2, with some wide receiver 1 upside, of course, in weeks, but in a 10-man, you kind of need that firepower. So is Pearsall like enough? Does Odunze step up? Higgins,
I
does
think
he stay
with
healthy? Right.
I think with Pearsall, you use him for that beginning of the season, see what
Right.
he does, and then if you need to plug Odunze in for that more consistent production, when Ayuk comes back, you kind of have that safety valve in Odunze if Pearsall kind of tails off when Ayuk comes back, because they still got Jennings, they still got CMC catching passes. Obviously, George Kittle's going to be a factor. So but I'm a big fan of Ricky Pearsall. I have him in both of my dynasty leagues. I had him in my redraft last year. So I am very high on Ricky Pearsall going into the season, just for full disclosure.
I mean, I love the McBride pick. I think that was great. Running backs are great. You got Henry and Bucky. So I mean, overall, it's a good team. But just if you want me to nitpick, that's kind of the Mahomes. I think for sure could have been a missed opportunity in the middle rounds there, and
I think the
then
name at this
Pearsall in the
point,
long run.
outshines the actual value, right? Because
It
if you
just
look
goes
at
to
the
show
team
you
and you
his
see
power,
Mahomes, if you
the
look at the
name.
name, if you look at the team and you see Mahomes, you're like, I'm fucking golden. I'm going to have a top 5 quarterback at the position, when we're not really sure if that's what it's going to be. It's more dink and dunk. It's more spread the ball around, right? Their defense is obviously still pretty good. So obviously we think Mahomes could be a low end QB1 somewhere in that range, but is that worth the value in the 6th round? Like we were talking about, I see he said he got him in the 6th round.
Yeah, that's really all. But otherwise, I mean, like I said, yeah, it's a good squad to start with. And speaking of, JCM, aka Bill, a lot of hype coming in now. I mean, no, but one person nobody's been talking about, who I've been stashing for years, and
Chris Rodriguez.
if I'm not mistaken, is my
Chris
highest rostered
Rodriguez.
dynasty player is Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah, we know.
And I'm gonna try and look it up as we're talking here to see my
I
most
will
rostered player. And
say,
I'm pretty sure it is Chris Rodriguez, but
oh, well, without a doubt, and I remember this going back 2 years ago. So I know Chris Rodriguez is all over your dynasty teams. But really quick, just to touch on the Bill thing, it's very interesting, that running back room, now that Brian Robinson's not there, right? You got Austin Eckler, you got Chris Rodriguez, you got Jeremy McNichols, who always kind of seems to find his way on the field, a la who's the running back for the backup for Philadelphia that always seemed to find his way on the field. I forgot the guy's name, but you
Gainwell.
always, yes, Kenneth Gainwell. He gives me Kenneth Gainwell vibes, Jeremy McNichols, because I look out there and he's usually in there on passing situations, etc. But yeah, there's such a crowded room. They essentially have 4 guys that they can go to. So I'm not gonna jump out of my seat for this particular guy. Now the value is probably going to be there, but now with the exodus of Brian Robinson, his value is shooting up, right? So I think Eckler is going to get the burn. Chris Rodriguez is going to get the burn as well. Where does McNichols and JCM fit in there?
Chris Rodriguez and Tyler Algier, 56%, as well as Raheem Sanders. CeeDee Lamb, 67% of my teams. That's crazy.
Yeah, we know how you feel
I
about
got him on
CD.
most of my teams. But yeah, Chris Rodriguez is my second highest roster dynasty player. Fabian Henderson, 44%. Yeah, I'm just Damian Martinez, Donovan Edwards, who did he just sign with? Was it Washington? Actually, now that we are talking about it, can you look that up real quick? Or
Donovan
somebody confirm? I'm pretty sure it was Donovan Edwards that just signed
Commies.
with the Commanders.
Yep.
Well, okay. I mean, you had a great, I think it was week 1 of the preseason, right?
Yeah, he had 63 yards in the preseason opener for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good on a team that, doesn't have a really high drafted running back, so it's kind of up in the air, right? But everybody loves Bill. Bill has played great, so far in the preseason. and everybody loves him. So how much work is he going to get? Chris Rodriguez has been there. He knows the system. He can play. You still have Eckler as well. So how does he fit into the offense? Does he have a chance to take over, as the RB1 there? And even if he does, how valuable is that RB in that system with the Jaden Daniels?
Well, the thing for me is regardless of if he's the RB1 or not, I don't think that holds that much weight to answer your direct question because they have other guys. Number one, Austin Eckler, a proven veteran. And as you said, Chris Rodriguez, who's been in that system for a couple of years now. So I don't think you could key in on one specific guy and lock him in as your RB2. I think that would be really difficult. And that would lead to very inconsistent production on a week in, week out basis. Now, listen, we know the running back position is very susceptible to injury. So we're banking on an injury or two happening. Maybe Eckler obviously is older. He's not going to get the full load and it could potentially, find himself injured. McNichols as well. So you're really hoping, and it sounds messed up, but from a fantasy perspective, you're hoping for one of these two guys to not be available. I don't want to say get injured, but not be available. So this way it opens up a larger role for a JCM or a Chris Rodriguez. I think that's the ideal situation in order to play those guys on a week in, week out basis.
Yeah, somebody's got to take over. June, what's up, June? I low-key fucked up. Other than CD and Rashee, I only drafted Reed. I picked Thielen up
Ooh,
off of waivers. Anyone
okay.
else I would suggest to throw in? Well, who's left? I mean, honestly, who's
Amari
on waivers?
Cooper, maybe.
Let me know. Yeah, you got name me like a few people that are
Right.
on waivers. Like I'm not sure who's on waivers.
I'll check waivers right now. It's not at this point. It's not good. Like
Right, right.
Nick Westbrook, Akine, Jalen Naylor, Ray McLeod, Cavante Turpin. Like you're not Devon Vele. You're not getting much. Parker Washington, one of our boys. But you're not getting much on the waiver
Tillman,
wire.
okay, that's not horrible, but
Cedric Tillman. I'm not mad at that. I do like some Cedric
that's not
Tillman.
horrible. I mean, yeah, I like that.
Mac Hollins, no.
No. I mean, Thielen is decent, especially with at least the first few weeks while Addison is not there.
Yes, he is.
The Mario Douglas, I like him. I think he's a little underrated. They said he's got like a nice role, so I'm not mad at that either.
I do like Cedric Tillman. I did pick him up in a redraft. Oh,
Sky
Kevin.
Moore.
Hit us with it, Kevin. Sky Moore. Steve, how you feeling about
Yep.
Sky Moore these days, my
I
friend?
mean, listen, he needed just a change of scenery, and
Oh, okay.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But
Well
yeah,
played,
it's
Kevin.
not
Well
looking
played.
good, especially percentage wise. He needs a miracle to happen, but
Yeah, he does.
it is what it is. We'll take the L on that. Hey, Coker's been doing well also. My guy Jalen Coker from last year.
I always
Jay,
wonder,
what's up,
especially
Jay?
especially about those post hype guys, right? Like a QJ, like a I can't really think of anybody like that pops to mind, but somebody like a QJ, right? Where the post hype is over. Now you're hoping for maybe a year 3 breakout. I know Jerry Judy was in that wheelhouse for a while, like a guy like Jerry Judy. You understand what I'm saying? But guys like that you could get at a tremendous value. That might be able to pop. I really do think Cedric Tillman has an opportunity to do some decent things this season. I really do. So I've been pretty high on him from a value perspective and maybe an underrated sleeper type guy.
All right. Bogey, what's up, Bogey? Philip,
Bogey in the house.
what's up, Philip? PBJ, what's up, PBJ?
Oh, we got the OG squad up in here
Yeah,
tonight.
we
I'm
got the
liking this.
squad in the house tonight. Appreciate y'all. What do you think is the best draft position in 10-man this year? I mean, even in 12 man, I mean, I kind of like the back end of it. Like you can get two elite players. You can go wide receiver, and get two elite wide receivers. You can go RB if you want to get two elite RBs. You can go one of each. So you have options. I think it's ideal to, at least for me, like my strategy this year at least is drafting a wide receiver in the first round over a running back, and then getting my elite running back in the second round and even third round, depending on where you're drafting and who's still, on the board. Or you could even go wide receiver, and then try and get values depending on obviously when you drafted, but the Omarion Hamptons, Travion Hendersons, like, these guys that you were able to get really late early on, not so much anymore. I mean, Travion's crept into now the fourth round. I've seen him in the back end of the third. I've seen Omarion Hampton in the end of the second, early third now. So, but yeah, I like it's the back half for me. The back half is I like that area.
Well, unfortunately for me, I don't have in our two redrafts this season. I've been right smack dab in the middle. I think I was 6 in one and then 8 in another. But I would always say either the top two or the back two, right? Because essentially you're double barreling for pretty much the entire draft. And you can really grab your guys. Now, from those positions, sometimes you might have to reach a little bit because you're waiting a little while, especially in the snake drafts. You're waiting a while, but for the most part, you can grab the guys that you want to grab when you have those back-to-back picks. I do prefer somewhere in that, like you said, that 1 to 2, 1 to 3 range, or like you said, at the back end, because the value, and I know obviously going through our mock drafts and then actually through our redrafts, that drop off in wide receiver, elite wide receiver
Mhm.
one, is
That's
so
quick.
steep after the second round.
And
It is
mhm.
such a drop off after the second round that
Not
it
even
is imperative.
end of second round, because
Yeah,
even,
that's
like, typically, like, London A.J. Brown is, like, that last elite wide receiver area, and that's been kinda the mid-seconds, or if you're lucky, late second, depending on if some tight ends go early or some running back goes early, or QB or something like
formatting as
that.
well.
Something
Yeah.
that, winds up where you get a value there, because that's why I like the back half. You can get kinda 2 elite guys. If you're in the front half, like, it's tough. Like, that's why I like taking a wide receiver up top in some of the first, 1 through 4-ish. Like, I like taking a wide receiver there, because what comes back to you in the second is typically not an
At the
elite
end of
wide
the second.
receiver. Because if you go right at
Yep.
the end of the second, if you go RB, there's not an elite wide receiver left, and I just don't feel comfortable with my wide receiver 1 being, wide receiver 2 type of guy, a Jameson Williams, or, I don't like that, you know?
So just looking
I
at
just
it,
don't like
looking
how
at
my
it
team is, turns out.
the the perfect example is exactly what you're talking about. We just did a mock draft last week, right? And the 102 was Bijan Robinson. The the person who had the 102 had the 211, and they ended up with Lad McConkey as their wide receiver one at the 211. So that goes to exactly what you're saying, where AJ Brown was that last elite wide receiver at the 2-7.
Mhm.
So that plays into exactly what you're saying. And if I have Lad McConkey as my wide receiver one, I am not thrilled about it.
Some people might be, and you could consider Lad McConkey the end of that wide receiver, elite wide receiver range, and I'm okay with that. I don't really necessarily put him there, but, you can, and that's absolutely fine. But even still, McConkey sometimes barely makes it back, to that area. So,
And that was only
and
one
then
quarterback taken in the first 2 rounds
yeah, and you still
and one
got
tight
the
end.
right, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor. They're still, in that range where, you can get them in the second or the third if you're in the, spots 1 through 4-ish, kind of area. But, like, I don't want T. Higgins to be my wide receiver 1. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't want
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison to be my wide receiver 1, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't
And,
like
and
that, because now we've talked about how ugly that 3rd round area and even 4th kind of round area is. Like,
I'm talking
it's
Tet,
kinda just ugly.
DK,
So,
Rashee
I'm
Rice, Devontae.
aiming for the Trey McBride that drops in the 3rd round. I'm aiming for the Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts. Like, I'm aiming for those guys in the 3rd round, because I just feel like that's the best value in redraft this year. It's the best value you can get at an elite, you know, an elite player at a position. Like if I'm drafting Marvin Harrison, I feel like I'm just, even though I think he's going to do great this year, I feel like I'm just behind the ball a little bit when I could have been at the top of a position with a McBride or even a George Kittle been falling in the 4th round. Fucking automatic smash. I mean, I just like those guys or those elite players at the position a lot better than, the T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison, Terry McLaurin, Devontae, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, that's
You
rough
know,
territory right there.
it's just a rough territory because then it opens up back again into that 5th-ish round. And, some guys may have started moving up a little bit, but the Ted McMillan's, Travis Hunter's, DJ Moore, George Pickens, which I think is such a great value, in redraft leagues. Emeka Egbuka, who is going higher and higher. Romo Dunze, I think those guys are crazy values that you can get later on.
Yeah, and it's really it's really like you said about that draft position, but just circling back to your point, if you're at the back end, for example, somebody went Malik Neighbors with the 111 and then circled back to the 2-2 and got Devon Achane.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel really good about that. Ashton Genty went at the 112 and then Nico Collins at the 2-1. You feel
Right.
really good about that. So I do think, to your point, especially in this particular year's draft, I do think somewhere in the back end probably provides a little bit better value. But listen, if you're at the 101 to the 104 and you could get Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, that's obviously the optimal choices in those first 4 picks.
Yeah, for sure. Booker and DeMario are sleepers for me. I think they'll have decent production. Yeah. I
It's
mean, there's
relative to
hype
the
about
value
them.
always.
There's hype
There's always
about them.
relative to the value.
Adam Thielen, we just talked about, now goes to Minnesota, so opens up an opportunity for, some other wide receivers to step up. I know, I think, who is it? Jimmy Horn also has been really played really well for them as well. So we'll see. PBJ said I like the 11 spot. Yeah, I like that back end. 10 to 12 is good. I I had the 4th pick. I was kind of weighing the pros and cons of going like Lamb, Jets, or Gibbs Barkley. You went Jets, I think, right?
Yeah, he did.
He said? Yeah, he did go Jettas. Now I have CD over Justin Jefferson. Yes, I'm a Viking fan, and Justin Jefferson is, quarterback proof, but I have CD Lamb over him in redraft. And the reason for that is obviously Dak Prescott, who I feel like is going to throw a ton this year. I don't know if they're going to really be relying on the running game so much. A healthy Dak Prescott, another great offensive weapon in George Pickens. So I think that, CeeDee Lamb has an opportunity to, even have a better season than he did when he was the wide receiver 1, which was what, I think 1,700 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes, CeeDee Lamb in 2023, 135 catches on 181 targets, 1,750 yards, and 12 touchdowns. You can see another
I
one of
mean,
those seasons.
we could, and I think that the George Pickens also helps him. It also helps, like, the defenses can't necessarily always key in on him. You got George Pickens now, who you can bona fide put him at the X receiver every single snap, and you can move CD wherever the fuck you want to cause mismatches in the defense, which is where he thrived and what he's been doing the last 2 years.
Yeah, CD's in for a hell of a season. He's easily going to finish in the top 3 at the position.
So yeah, I mean, I love CD Lamb. I love the value you're getting at him too, also in redraft. I mean, you've got
Yeah,
to
he went
beat.
at the 104 in one of our
Yeah,
recent
I
mocks.
mean, yeah, I took him at 104 in the recent mock. I'll take him at 102. He's my 102. I don't care. He's my 102. He's safer. I feel like wide receiver is always safer, for injury concerns, and as well as just the overall how the draft is, like we just talked about in the end of that 2nd round. I would rather have a CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, Bucky Irvin, Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor than I would a Bijan and McConkey. And I don't know, but that's just me. I feel more comfortable having the elite wide receiver. T. Higgins, if Vlad
Yeah,
doesn't,
I'm
doesn't
generally
fall.
I'm generally in that boat as well. I really do like me some Jahmyr Gibbs this year,
I do too.
but I still think CD would be the pick. Um, they have the running situation in Dallas is murky at best. I want Dak to throw 600 times this year.
Mhm.
Like, give me all that. Give me CD for 100, another 180, 185 targets,
And even
and
if he
he could be
doesn't
the
get
wide receiver one.
185 targets because Pickens is there, he's gonna have high quality targets. They might be a little bit
Yeah,
less,
that's fair.
but they'll be higher quality targets, possibly more, touchdowns. He had 12 that season as when he was a wide receiver 1. But yeah, Dak threw it 590 times that year for 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns. But yeah, I would
Just keep
take
Dak
him.
healthy.
I would take Lamb over Bijan, and I know not everybody is going to gonna agree with that, but yes. Oh, the team he showed was another team, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I love Bijan, I love Gibbs, I love Saquon, Henry. I mean, CMC, you're getting at a value. I feel like he's going like mid to end of the first. I feel like he's been creeping up a little bit as we get closer to the season because people realize how dominant of a running back he really is when he's healthy.
But that injury concern is there. He's not a spry chicken anymore. He is 29 years old with a ton of
You
mileage
know,
on his body. So, but if at some point we talk about this every single year, at some point these guys do become a value. So I do think CMC has a great chance to bounce back. Doesn't
just that
really
rest.
have or hasn't had any injury concerns throughout the entire offseason. So,
Hmm.
and they're also talking about him getting an increased workload in the passing game. So make of that what you will.
I mean, yeah, you got to think about Ayuk not being there. Right, for
Pearsall's
at
still
least the
young,
first, 4, 6 games, whatever it is, depending, and that's if he doesn't have a setback, right?
right?
You're relying on Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, who's not happy, George Kittle, who's probably gonna be the wide receiver 1 of the
Right. Number
49ers
one
this
pass
year.
catcher. Hmm.
Pearsall, obviously, we talked about, has a great opportunity as well, but yeah, I mean, CMC is gonna carry the fucking load. Like, this is gonna be like, the fucking Panthers. Like, he
Is the guy. Is
not that
the
they're
guy.
gonna suck, but you know what I mean? Like, he's the main guy. Like, they don't
The
have
focus of
a
the offense. Yep.
right. Well, I mean, he's always typically the focus of the offense, I guess. But, I mean, when
But
you've
even
got an
more
Ayuk
so.
there and yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think they're gonna lean on him. They're gonna lean on him heavy. I mean, he's 29 years old. I mean, at this point, it's like, bro, we're gonna feed him till he fucking
The wheels fall
till he
off,
crashes, till
literally.
the wheels fall off, like, it's just it's worth it, and now we got, Brian Robinson and
Yep.
as his backup, which is good. I mean, it sucks for the Garendo owners, it sucks for Garendo, I guess, but, I mean, he hasn't been able to really stay healthy this offseason, and now you've got a Brian Robinson, at least for this year. Now, do they re-sign a Brian Robinson? I mean, I don't know, but
I don't really see them investing that much in a Brian Robinson. They just paid Brock Purdy. They just obviously
right,
CMC.
they
Like
could replace
I don't.
anybody.
Right. Yeah, you could replace Brian Robinson pretty easily.
And I mean, even speaking of Brian Robinson, is Brian Robinson gonna get the majority of the work if a CMC gets injured? Like, is he worth that? Like, do we really know if he's the clear cut gonna get
Handcuff.
the workload
Yeah.
guy if CMC goes down? Like, sometimes that second running back is just not as valuable. Is it some kind of mix with Garendo and Brian Robinson where, he's just not as valuable to have? He's
I
not like
think
a Charbonnet who's taken pretty much all the work, you know?
I think that remains to be seen, but I don't think they would have acquired a guy like Brian Robinson if they didn't plan on using him. You know what I mean? In at
Oh, yeah, for
least some
sure.
sort of established role.
Right.
Now,
But is it
whether or not
fantasy
he
worthy?
becomes the main back, I think he's fantasy worthy just from a standpoint of CMC
that
was
offense.
really banged up, right? On that offense. Is he going to get some goal line carries? Is he going to be the hammer, right? Because maybe they saw what they did to Christian McCaffrey 2 years ago and gave it to him 75,000 times a game. Maybe they want to save Christian McCaffrey down at the goal line, and Brian Robinson ends up with 7 touchdowns this season, 8 touchdowns this season. Is that flex worthy?
I mean, if CMC, yeah, does CMC go down, and is it? I mean, like I
I don't
said,
even
I don't know.
necessarily think it's completely contingent on
I don't know.
CMC going down. Maybe
I don't think.
they
I mean, I feel
maybe
like
they
he could have
realize
a role. I feel like he could have a role, yes, even with CMC not going down. But is it a role that we're going to be able to start Brian Robinson in the flex, like with a healthy CMC? Like, I don't think
no,
that's
no, no,
possible.
no, no, definitely not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's got
No,
to be an
definitely
injury.
not.
But then also, I'm saying is even if there is an injury, is he the main guy, or is it some kind of split between him and Garendo? I think Garendo's better than Brian Robinson. So, like, does that show itself? And then Garendo, is the guy that gets more work.
It's possible. I think, like I said, I think that remains to be seen, but he's definitely worth rostering.
Yeah, for
I would
sure. Yeah,
imagine,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No doubt about that for sure. What QB you think I could try and get from Mahomes, like Mahomes and a player for like a Burrow? I
We're talking
mean,
dynasty or we're talking
no, no,
redraft.
no, no. This is caddy, so we're talking redraft here. I don't know if I go to a Burrow. Can you can you tear down and get a player in like a Dak Prescott, which I say is like the discount Joe Burrow?
I was gonna go there. Jared Goff.
You know, Jared Goff type. I mean, I'm okay
That's
with
been my
doing
guy.
I'm okay with doing that if you want to tear down. But if you want to tear up, like I feel like you got to go for at least the elite. You
Jaden
know,
Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. But are you able to get those
That's
guys?
gonna
I don't
be,
know. That's going to
and
be the
those
tough part.
guys, I doubt it. Just from the standpoint of it's a 1 quarterback league.
Right.
I don't think, if you have one of those hammers, those top 5 quarterbacks in a 10-man, that's going to be tough to tier up. So tearing down might be the real option here, and going from Mahomes to a Dak, Jared Goff plus.
Right, and then you can use that plus with some other player to try and tier up at, wide receiver or RB. Where was that team at? I mean, you got Henry, Bucky, but can you tier up from T. Higgins and whatever you get with Dak in that trade? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially once, injuries start happening. You might not be able to do it right now because we haven't played games and guys aren't scoring points yet, but at least you can try. Philip said, "What do you think of this Dynasty Superflex startup so far? Stallion, T-Law, Love, Kyron, Hendy, BTJ, Egbuka. Love the Buka. Love the Hendy. I mean, I like the BTJ too. Kyron just got a contract, so you can feel pretty confident about that now. Even in Dynasty, as he's getting older. T-Law and Love and Stallion. Why am I drawing a blank here with Stallion?
I was gonna
Am I
ask. I was afraid too because I didn't want to look like
am
an idiot
I
and not who a Stallion is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm missing it, but who the fuck could be Stallion? I don't know. Let me know. Maybe it's just flying over my head here. Philip, I feel like Orendo is better. Yeah. I feel like that too. I feel like that too. But is he going to be healthy?
He's already dealing with an injury.
Can he stay healthy?
And you know what I didn't even realize? I just peeped this last week. We're getting a Thursday game and a Friday game this for opening week.
Yes, I saw that
Which
as
is,
well. I saw that
and I
as
was like,
well.
what the hell? What are we getting? Chiefs. We're getting Chiefs somebody. I don't remember who it was. Josh Allen.
Oh, Josh
Okay.
Allen. Okay, okay, okay.
He's the Stallion. That's what we're calling him these days. I thought he was the
So we've
Winter
got
Soldier, but
Yeah, I like Winter Soldier. But Josh Allen, T-Law and Love. I mean, I like the quarterback room. Kyron Hendy, BTJ Ibuka. I mean, I like more wide receivers in Dynasty, especially startups. Like, I don't want two running backs and before I have, my kind of wide receivers. I like to have the young elite wide receivers that I can build around if possible before I worry about my running back position. Especially in a startup because this is the time where you can really establish your team for the long run. So if you're getting elite wide receivers, your young elite wide receivers early in the later rounds, you can start to add some of those veterans. You're going to have, the veteran running backs that you can draft a lot later, the Derrick Henrys and the Aaron Joneses and, any of the older, the
Tony
Alvin Kamara,
Pollard.
Tony Pollard's, like, you can still get solid RB production, and really kinda shape your team to build around the wide receivers that you can get early and, quarterback. So,
A
I mean,
guy
I
a
like
guy
Josh
you
Allen and you have Love. Now when you draft a guy like Josh Allen in Superflex, it also opens you up to, different opportunities where you can kind of go a little ugly at QB2, right? You don't necessarily have to go in Love was
reach.
awesome. Like, did you have to go T-Law? Like, probably not. Or was he just such a value that at that time he was the best player available? Like, I'm okay with that if that was the situation. I would like to know how that kind of went down where you wound up with the three quarterbacks. But if he was the value and he was the best player on the board, then I'm all for it because he is a guy that can gain some value where you can use as a trade option, during the season.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that I don't know who you picked first. I would imagine you picked Jordan Love before Trevor
Right.
Lawrence, but
I mean, yeah,
I
could
love
be.
I love that combination because as you said, Josh Allen is just going to give you supreme production where you're getting one and a half quarterbacks.
Right.
You have to look at it that way. Plus you're getting some RB upside from the rushing standpoint. So I love that pick. I think Kyron's due for another double-digit touchdown season, secured the contract. The wide receiver 2 with Ibuka is very concerning just because I know Chris Godwin's gonna be out early, but I feel like I need more established at my wide receiver 2, especially early on in the season. I know you're high on Ibuka, but like you said, you wanna invest in those young stud wide receivers to build the core of your team and then figure out running back. And just to kinda highlight that, I know this is a redraft, but you could get a guy like Travis Etienne, another good value that we've talked about in terms of filling out your running back situation. So, but the team is pretty solid so far.
Yeah, got Tilo in the sixth and Love in the seventh. Oh, damn. All right. I mean, yeah, those are crazy values in Superflex. So yeah, I mean, shit, I'm good with that.
And shit, I would imagine that now you have three startable quarterbacks. There's value there to be had. You could even move one of those guys if you wanted to tier up, theoretically, if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the startup, it's going to be hard because people are kind of going to be content with their teams, and there are like a lot of quarterbacks as of right now until some injuries happen or
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have
things get
built-in
shaken up
value
there.
with three
Right,
established starting
right.
quarterbacks. So there's
You could at
built-in
least
value.
store right. You're storing the value there. I would love to know what wide receivers were there when you took Kyron. Um, Henderson, he's really young, but I would wonder what other wide receivers were around when you picked Kyron, or was Kyron actually just kind of the best pick available? And it's like, fuck it, downgrade Mahomes to Dak and Adams. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I love
Smash.
that because
If
then
that's
you can
available,
use
take it.
like an Adams T Higgins to try and get like an elite kind of guy.
I love going from Mahomes to Dak and Adams. That's almost
Or
a
and or I would
no-brainer.
be a lot more comfortable, with Adams, um, I guess, than Pearsall, or at least, you know, for sure, or even, once Pearsall is, I don't wanna say done, but once, Ayuk comes back, like, you'll have Davante Adams you could plug in that flex spot.
Yeah, if that's on the table, Caddy, smash that.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, I mean, we are getting close to finishing up. Hammer, you got anything else you want to talk about before we get off here? I mean, it's crazy that we've got
8 days, bro.
what'd you say, 8 days?
Next up, a week from tomorrow. I can't
Damn.
even believe Labor Day is Monday.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, man, I'm super excited to get this season rolling. Like I said, we get a Thursday, we get a Friday as like the appetizer, and then we get the
Mhm.
Sunday full slate. And are we getting that do we get the Monday doubleheader out the box?
What is the game on?
I think it might be on Peacock if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
Shit.
so Thursday's
I think I'm
game is on
away. I think I'm
NBC
away next week.
Peacock, and then
You said
Friday
NBC. You said NBC Peacock? Okay, NBC. Okay.
or Peacock on
Okay.
Thursday, but then Friday is YouTube.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, "Oh, okay."
So that should be interesting.
Now, we shouldn't need any kind of subscription or some
Subscription,
no
I
shit
have
for
no
YouTube, I wouldn't
idea.
think.
I have no idea.
Damn.
Dude, I
Alright,
feel
well,
like you
go
need
ahead.
so many subscriptions, but also too, ESPN is pretty much buying out everything. So pretty soon you're just gonna need the ESPN app, and you'll have all the games.
Right.
So
Well, hopefully they
yeah,
don't fuck up Red Zone. Didn't Red Zone buy them or some shit? Or,
yeah. ESPN
ESPN
bought
bought
out the
right.
they bought the red zone from the NFL. Yep.
Alright, well, we'll see y'all next week. Right before actually, damn, I won't be on next week.
What do you got next week?
I gotta do a work thing, so I'm headed to, a work training. I'm headed to Atlanta for, like, 2 days, Wednesday to Friday.
Well, we could do a Sunday morning.
Yeah, we could do Sunday morning for a little bit. Do some, I guess, start sits if we need to.
Yeah, start sits, previews. We could recap
Alright.
the Thursday, Friday game.
Alright, appreciate y'all, for coming out. Everybody drop a like, subscribe if you're
Yeah.
new, and, we'll be back next week. Peace.